Hello, Megs Basili here, and the podcast is The Infinite CEO. This podcast is to learn and master your energetics and mindset for maximum expansion and become the infinite CEO that you were designed to be. So I wanted to talk to you today about a conversation that I had in Sacred Money Energy, which is surrender versus control. We have been told over and over and over again. So this podcast is very much about debunking a lot of stuff that you see all over social media and stuff like that. We're being told to surrender. Surrender to what the universe wants you to do. Surrender to God. Don't follow your intuition, follow your heart. Yes. Surrender everything. Surrender the need to be correct, surrender the need to control the outcome, surrender the need to listen to your ego, surrender to your intuition. I am a yes for all of that. Yes. The opposite of that is control. So many people are told, and we are told always, you've got to claim yourself. You've got to, take control of your life, and no one's coming to save you. So you've got to do it yourself and take control. And we get confused. We get confused between surrendering and taking control. Surrendering and taking control. And this is what keeps a lot of people stuck. It does. It kept me stuck for a long time as well. So surrendering means listening to your intuition and taking action on what your intuition is telling you. So we have four minds within us. We have the soul, we have the sacral chakra, the womb space, the place of creation, and we have our heart, and we have our brain. So there's four aspects of us that are all trying to take control and all trying to say, listen to me. When all four of those come into alignment and you all agree, all those aspects agree on something, you are going to be able to take action so much easier. So that's one aspect to it. Okay, so we need to be able to listen to our bodies. When I say that, it means if your body feels like going for a walk, you listen. You know what it feels like to go for a walk by now. Like, you're an adult. You know what it feels like to want to do things. You know what it feels like to want to lay on the lounge. You know what it feels like to want to have a bath. You know what it feels like to want to eat something. So all those aspects of you, of what you know you want and you need, you feel it in your body first. You feel it in your body first. And so this is the same kind of thing with your business. You will feel like creating content. You will feel like doing a masterclass. You will feel like doing a podcast. You know what that would feel like, so you get up and you do it. So that's the part of surrendering that we really want to listen to. Surrendering the outcome. I'm not doing this podcast just because I want people to sign up with me. I'm doing this podcast because it's been calling to my soul. I haven't had a real topic to talk about until the Infinite CEO all downloaded and dumped on me. The energy of the Infinite CEO all dumped on me within a minute. And then it was like an understanding that it's a podcast, that it's a membership, that it's eventually going to be events and merchandise and all sorts of things as well. I really want that to take hold. I really want it. So the podcast, I'm doing this podcast because my intuition has told me to do it. I know that people need to hear this stuff. And so I'm putting it out there in this way so that people can learn all this kind of stuff. And then they will then determine whether they reach out or not, whether they join the membership or not, whether they want to work one-on-one with me or not. That's on you. That's on my clients. That's on the people that listen to this podcast. That's not on me at all. I can't control who listens to this podcast. I can't control who reaches out from me because of this podcast or because of the TikToks that I do, or because of the YouTube clips, or because of the Instagram stories. I can't control who sees that, and I can't control who comes into my environment due to that. What I can control is how often I do a podcast. What I can control is what do the graphics for the podcast look like. What I can control is what I actually say. So I might get the message to talk about this, but whether I actually take the action to create it, whether I actually sit down and talk to you like I'm doing this podcast, I control my actions in relation to the message that I received. So it's not surrender or control, it's surrender and control. Control and surrender. It goes both ways. So this is how you are going to master your energetics, because if you said, like I said, that I am going to create a podcast, I'm going to record a podcast every single day until I go on my holiday next week. So last night, if you listened to yesterday's podcast, yesterday was just one of those days that was a little bit of a comical error. I nearly got the mark on everything, just missed out on nearly everything. And we got home from helping my mum move, and then she gave us some of her old furniture, and then it rained. And then my daughter was finishing work, and I knew that we were not going to get to her working time to pick her up. And so she was just going to hang out there for a little bit. And then the traffic happened, and so we were a little bit later than we wanted to. And then it was raining on and off the whole time, so the furniture was getting wet. I could have cried. I felt like I could have cried, but I took control of my emotions. I was like, actually, this is quite funny. I'm going to see that this is like one of those, it's almost like a full frontal comedy clip. And so this is how I took control. And then we got home, and it was like 8 o'clock at night, and it's winter here at the moment, so it starts getting dark at like 5 o'clock. We got home, it was 8 o'clock at night. Some other stuff happened. We were trying to get all the furniture in and all this stuff. And then it was like 9:30 at night, and I was feeling so drained. And I was like, oh, I didn't do my podcast today. And I said, I committed that I was going to do a podcast every single day until we go on holidays. And my ego was like, oh, it's just one day. Don't worry about it. Who cares? It'll be fine. There's no one holding you accountable. If you don't do it, like whatever. And then that was me observing my thoughts. I was like, you don't control me. Thank you very much. I control me. Thank you very much. I'm doing this podcast because I'm committed. I'm committed to my clients. I'm committed to myself. I'm committed to the Infinite CEO. I am fully committed to be able to do this. And I know that I can. And I have no shadow of a doubt. There's no doubt in me whatsoever that the Infinite CEO is going to be huge. Okay, so if I had have listened to my ego in that moment, I would have let myself down. I know that I would have let myself down. I was so incredibly tired last night, and the ego was saying, you're so tired. If you do this podcast now, then people might absorb your tiredness. And this is how I feel. I feel like every content that I do, every single thing that I do in my business and in my life, I want to have the best energy and the best intentions behind it, because I know that people I absorb stuff without even realizing it. I absorb so much. That's why I am really limiting my Facebook scrolling and my TikTok scrolling, is because I absorb so much. I have one of those open head spaces in human design, and I just take everything in. So I have to limit what I watch, and I have to limit the music that I listen to, and I have to watch what I read and watch what I listen. Yeah, all of the above. Okay. So I know that that's a thing. because I've done it before. I've listened to a podcast and I was like, oh shit, her energy was off today. I can't even listen to it. So I skip the podcast. So I don't skip on the person because I know like maybe they were just having a bad day or whatever. If I get too many of those moments where I'm like, oh, they're just not on it, then I'll have to stop listening to it. So this was a big thing of mine. So what I did last night was I started to record a podcast and it didn't work. I was like, and it didn't work. And I was like, okay, that's all right. I'll try again. Same thing happened. Hi, my name is, what on earth is my name? Yeah, okay, cancel that podcast. And then I stood in my bedroom because it was raining, it was dark, it was freezing. I did not go outside to ground myself, but I stood in my bedroom. I recorded that podcast in my bedroom last night and I sat there and I was like, I'm putting myself aside, I'm putting my energy aside, I'm putting my emotions aside. Everything that is me is being set aside for a moment, and I'm just going to be a pure channel, and I am going to record an awesome podcast, and it's going to be so much light in there because I'm channeling it straight from the divine. It's not about me at this moment. It's not about anything other than the message that comes through. And I grounded that within me. And I reckon last night's podcast was probably one of the best. So these are the kind of things when you surrender, you also control. So I said to myself, I'm committed. This is me controlling me. I am committed 100% to creating this podcast. I am committed 100% to creating this infinite CEO. The creation runs through me. It's already created in some reality on some timeline. I'm just bringing it now into this 3D reality. And so I can either say one day won't hurt me, or I can say, no, I'm committed and I'm in control of my emotions. I'm in control of my actions. And I did the podcast and it was amazing. So go and listen to it because it was really, really good. All right. So I hope you understand now a little bit difference between the surrendering and the control aspects of life. It doesn't have to be either or. It is always and yet. Okay. It's masculine and yet feminine. It is control and yet surrender. It is light and yet dark at the same time. Everything coexists. Okay, excellent. So I hope this is very valuable for you. If you felt like this was really valuable to you, please share it around. Please post it in your Instagram stories or your Facebook stories. Tag me in it. I want to know who's listening to my podcast. I want to be your cheerleader. So let me know if you have any questions and anything that you would like me to add into this podcast. If you have a question that you would like me to answer, please message it to me either through Instagram or through Facebook. Okay, that's it from me. I hope you have a wonderful, fantastic morning, day, noon, or night, wherever you are in the world. And remember to always learn lots and be kind. Bye for now.